Hey, what's up everyone? This is Walt with Raybuck Auto Body Parts. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are starting day 8 of our 6-speed Tremec transmission swap. And over the last few days I've kind of been messing with these items here on the firewall. The last video we had, I started to get everything welded in, and I think we had the plate for the clutch master cylinder. That was all welded in, got that painted, and the other night I came down and made a little bracket to hold the reservoir. It's a little hard to see tucked up in there, but basically it just, the stem of that reservoir goes through the little bracket, and then it'll just simply have like a zip tie that goes around the top to kind of keep it from wobbling around. I didn't have a lot of room there, so once the master cylinder's in there, there's not a lot of space, and I had to watch the hood clearance as well. Once the hood shuts, there's get about a finger's width underneath between the hood and the cap of the reservoir. So, but we're gonna get basically down in there. That bottom hole is where the adapter goes for the clutch, and we just want to get that bolted on. See how that all fits up. I haven't really bolted all that in. I've kind of test fitted it, but that was about it. So we're gonna get started on that and see what we can get done tonight. Alright, so got that bolted in. Again, everything's kind of dark down there, but hopefully you can see how this all bolts in. And again, this is the Detroit speed adapter with a Tilton 76 series master cylinder. This is the feed off the side here that will come up to our master cylinder reservoir. So there's the reservoir. Again, everything's black, but this is the end of the reservoir. So basically it's just going to come down and make a 90 right into that fitting. So that'll be a nice fit for that. And you can see off the end of our master cylinder there is a dash 4 fitting that will go down to the actual throw-out bearing itself, and that's what will work the clutch. So looks like everything is going to fit up pretty well. It's going to be a little bit tight under there, but I think I should be able to get a fitting on it. So we'll keep working on this. Have a few other things that we're going to work on tonight too. Right now the pedals are out, getting some work done on those. I'm putting some new bushings in, so I didn't have what I needed here to do that. So a friend of mine's a machinist. He's going to make some new bushings for those so the pedals fit a little bit tighter. The shifter handle is out. That's getting fixed as well. I'm having that machine down to fit the older style shifter knob, and put a little bend in it just so it's a little more comfortable for me. You can see over there, that is the transmission seal that I got for the car. That is just out of a, I don't know, I can't remember, probably like a mid-80s Mustang or something. But once I take this cover off, this is the old console that was in the car, I'm going to try and fit that on there as well. Alright, so we're pretty caught up on a lot of the small odds and ends things that we need to put the transmission in the car. Waiting on a few parts to come back, and the next big step is to get the bell housing and the transmission in the car, and to degree the bell housing in so that the input shaft of the transmission is centered on the input shaft, or on the crankshaft. So to do that, we have to put the bell housing on. We use this adapter plate, and we put a degree wheel, or I don't know why I keep saying degree wheel. We put a dial indicator on this receiver opening and check how much run out there is, and determine where we have to move the bell housing to minimize the run out. Tremec wants 5 thousandths, so have to make sure that's within tolerance. One of the things, though, I've watched a few videos and talked to a few people. One of the big things that you have to do when you do this is make sure that the block, the back side of the block where the bell housing contacts, and the front side of the bell housing where the transmission contacts have to be clean, and they have to be flat. If you have, a nick or something in here that's, causing that bell housing to move around, 5 thousandths isn't very much, so a little bit of distortion around the bell housing can throw off those readings. And from what I've seen, this is the QuickTime bell housing. It comes with a nice powder coating on it, but the thing I noticed, and other people have mentioned in videos, is the powder coating is rather heavy, and it is because I've been sanding on it and I have yet to go through it. And what I've done is I've used basically the flat end of a square with some sandpaper, and I'm just going around, just gently going around and straightening this out. And what I've noticed is, since I've started doing that, I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but it's flattened it out. If I put a straight edge across here before and ran this straight edge around, it was catching on all the holes, and there was a couple areas where it didn't seem really flat. So if you look at this edge where I've sanded, you can see how it's pretty much all uniform now. If you put a straight edge on it, there's no gap or anything under there. It's nice and flat. You can see like some of the areas, most of the holes are low on the edges, so they're not sticking up. But like this one here, you can see where it's real shiny. That one was high, so I'm going to work on that a little bit. May even take a file to it to knock it down some, and keep working my way around. You can see where I went from where I'm sanding it to where I haven't sanded yet, and it's hard to tell on the camera, but the powder coating, it's pretty nice, but it does have a lot of orange peel and everything. So if we take this across, it kind of drags, and you can see here, actually if I drag this across, it's actually putting some material on the file, and you can see where it scraped that powder coating off. So this area probably has a little bit of a high spot in it or something. So we'll just keep sanding this down, and anywhere we see metal, we'll work that a little bit. So we're going to do it on this side and on the other side where the transmission contacts the bell housing. Alright, so we got our bell housing all done. Both sides are sanded nice and flat. There was only a few spots that were where the metal was actually a little bit high, and just a little bit of work on that with a file, and that flattened that out. But there was another problem that I've come across, and I'll show you that. While I was kind of mocking all of this up, I realized and I didn't even notice this before when I had the trans bolted in, but on a small block Chevy, on the back of the block, right above the cam, there are some pipe plugs, and those pipe plugs were actually hitting the back of this block off plate, because when you're running an automatic, there's nothing there. It's just the housing basically bolts to the perimeter of the engine block, so there's nothing really there to to interfere with it. But I noticed that when I was taking it off, I had pushed on it and it wanted to rock a little bit. So those pipe plugs that are in there, they must be a little bit long, and they're just like barely touching. So you can see I marked the areas and already started to drill that plate out to clearance for those. So just something to watch out for if you are putting a block plate on a car, or on a small block Chevy anyhow, just to make sure that there's nothing that's going to interfere with that block plate sitting flush on it, because this inside, like this inside diameter, there's a lot more area there than there would normally be on automatic, or probably even on a like a standard 4-speed, because the bell housings are just basically open in the back. So just something to keep in mind.